Yes, please. Do I need to get out of here?
Scott, formal charges have been filed against you by the county attorney's office for kidnapping, mistreatment of a dependent adult, criminal threat, aggravated robbery, theft, and resisting or interfering with law enforcement. The most serious offense, actually you have two of them, 2 level 3 person felonies. It's alleged in count 1 that on or about the 20th day of July 2024 in Butler County, Kansas, that you did then and there unlawfully take or confine a person, to wit, Beverly Jean Zilke, accomplished by force or theft or deception with the intent to facilitate flight or commission of a crime, to wit, aggravated robbery. It's a violation of law under KSA 21-5408A2. In count 2, you're charged that on or about the 20th day of July 2024 that you did knowingly inflict physical injury or unreasonable confinement or punishment upon a dependent adult or an elder person, to wit, that's what's known as mistreatment of a dependent adult or elder. It is a level 5 person felony if convicted. The sentencing range is anywhere from 31 months up to 136 months with the Department of Corrections, depending on your criminal history, and a $300,000 fine. On the level 3 charges of robbery, aggravated robbery, and kidnapping, the sentencing range is 55 months up to 247 months with the Department of Corrections, depending on your criminal history. If convicted, any level 3 offenses are presumptive prison, and up to a $500,000 fine. Count 3 is a level 9. So it's on the lower end of the grid. Severity levels are 1 through 10, 1 being the highest, 10 being the lowest. A level 9 offense is 5 months up to 17 months with the Department of Corrections. It's alleged that on or about the 20th day of July 2024, you threatened to commit violence against Beverly Jean Zilke. The aggravated robbery alleges that you unlawfully and knowingly took a gray 2024 Nissan Altima from the person or presence or house of by force or threat of bodily harm. You threatened to shoot her and drag her from the causing injury, and that you inflicted bodily harm in the course of said robbery. So that's why it's charged as an aggravated robbery. It carries a sentence, as I indicated, of 55 months up to 247 months with the Department of Corrections. Then it's also alleged that on the 20th day of July that you did unlawfully obtain or exert unauthorized control over Ms. Purse, the contents, and her small dog Chloe, when she basically didn't want you to. She didn't give you permission.
I have none of this, ma'am. I have none of this. I just basically talked to the detective. I have none of this stuff.
Okay. Count 6 says that you falsely reported to law enforcement false information to influence or impede or obstruct an officer's official duty or investigation. That, if convicted, that's a level 9 felony as well, 5 months to 17 months with the Department of Corrections. The theft is a misdemeanor if convicted of up to 1 year and a $2,500 fine. The rest are all felonies. Judge Ricky is your assigned judge. He has established a court date for you of August 12th at 2:30. What is the recommended bond?
Judge, beyond just the level of charges, the defendant is most definitely a C, but possibly a B on the grid. The recommendation will be $100,000 cash surety.
Sir, I just personally talked to the detective. He said he was going to talk to the DA. I was not this.
Okay,
I was.
I don't want you saying anything. I want you to talk to an attorney, please. I'm going to go ahead, since such a high bond has been requested and you have what's reportedly a fairly high criminal history. I'm going to appoint counsel for you. Jim Watts is who you'll start with. If there are problems or he has a conflict or something, he can find an attorney or ask me to appoint a Wichita attorney. But you're going to start with Jim Watts, and he does come to the jail every week. Before I set your bond, the request is $100,000. I have to set it, well, I typically set it relatively high whenever a case is presumptive prison. And the nature of these offenses generally warrant a relatively high bond to give bondsmen an incentive to find you if you fail to appear for court. So is there anything that you'd like to say about your bond? Not about the case itself, but just the bond. And the things I like to know
I just need a little bit. I'm fighting for my kids. When none of this, I basically just gave them all the information they need. I promise you, I was laced. I've been in intensive care for 5 days. I was laced with a drug that not doing nothing. My name is just there. I'm fighting for my kids. I would have never done nothing like this to somebody. I promise you.
Okay. Tell me how old you are.
Kids, I promise you, I would not have run her in any of that.
How old are you?
I am 40 years old. I have a chronic illness where I have to be in hospital. I'll fight for my life. I just want to know what's going on.
Okay. Where do you live?
North Ash Street.
In El Dorado?
No, I live in Wichita, Kansas. My daughter's fighting brain cancer. I'm a mother. I was basically laced. I don't even know what's going on.
Okay. Do you have a job somewhere?
I do work.
Where do you work?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I work for. I'm a manager there, ma'am. I'm not no violent person. Everything I do, I have to do independently through my kids and everything. I'm not no person be on the street. I was late. I was in a car and was forced to drive this car off because they was all on drugs.
Okay. I don't want you to talk about the case.
I have a court date Friday for my kids. If I'm not at that court date on Friday, they're going to terminate my rights. I got 2 little boys in state custody that I'm fighting for. I have a daughter with brain cancer.
Okay. You need to write that all down for the jail because they can try to get you logged into a Zoom hearing so that you can appear for that if you don't make it.
What about the man talking to the DA telling them that I had nothing to do with this?
I don't know anything about that. I just
talked to a detective. He said he's talking to the DA.
Okay.
His name was
That's why I got
Chandler.
And I'm going to tell Jim Watts, we're going to send him a message to get out to the jail to see you as soon as possible. Right now, I am going to set the bond at 100,000 cash or surety. Jim Watts can file a request for this case to be heard in front of Judge Rickey sooner.
How much money do I need to get out of here?
But right now, if you are a criminal history B and you're charged with a level 3, there's enough allegations here and information for me to be concerned that we need a significant bond to secure your attendance. All right, I've set a bond. I've given you an attorney. You have a judge assigned. I've given you a court date. Is there anything else, counsel?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
Time is that court on August 12th?
It should be.
Yes, August 12th at 2:30.
And none of this.
Mr. Canfield, is there an affidavit that's filed in Ms. Scott's case?
Yes, there is.
Okay. Amy, can you see that I get a copy and Judge Rickey gets a copy of that?
Yes.
And
I'm gonna be the attorney right here.
gets a copy. Okay, thank you. Ms. Paddock,